Has a tiara from the British vaults finally been found in Malaysia? Yes, it seems like the Queen Mary's diamond Lozenge Bandeau Tiara somehow made its way to Malaysia, or at least that is the argument of the royal watcher and the Malaysian royal families, or one of them. There's actually 7, and they cycle through about every 5 to 10 years over who is king or queen. And this story is just particularly interesting. Is that the tiara or not? I shall share with you guys some of my thoughts. And this is from a Crown Report segment that I have filmed last week because I was thinking about refilming this basically. And I'm like, well, I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to in that initial video. I've added some additional pictures so you guys can see what we are talking about. But I really hope you enjoy this because it is a big question. What happens when tiaras go back into the vault and we don't see them for a really, really, really long time? Because this definitely 100% occurs. I even had the actual Life magazine behind me here. I have a picture I'll share with you guys of a tiara that we thought was lost from the Greeks and somehow turned up on the crown princess like decades later. And so it's entirely possible that this might be a copy, but is it the actual same tiara or not? I'm not sure, but I'd love to get your guys' thoughts. So go ahead and check out this video. But if you haven't subscribed to Royal Fashion News before, please go ahead and do so. This is a place for all of those who have a passion for royal fashion. And I do have an announcement I would like to make as well, which is that I am going to make the best and worst videos of something that are live. It's something I've been thinking about for a little bit. I hope to have a co-host for those at some point. But the best and worst fashion looks of the week is a video I particularly like. I think they would be great on Friday. So won't do it this Friday, but perhaps next Friday. It's just an awesome time to check out and discuss all the royal ladies looks. And you can actually add polls within YouTube Live. So we can go in there. I can put the polls up and you guys can vote in real time and let me know what is your best and worst fashion look of the week. Obviously, with everything going on with the election, it just seems like probably a little too much going on to add it this week, but we will go ahead and do it next week for the first time at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this will be a consistent program every single Friday because I love talking about royal fashion. I know you do too. And we can actually engage with it together in real time. It's going to be absolutely fabulous, guys. So feel free to hang around and check that out. And I can't wait for you to join me. So on with this video. Super exciting or not news? We shall not be sure because we do have something from the royal watcher who believes that he has discovered where Queen Mary's Lozenge Bandeau Tiara went. So this is a fascinating question. What happens when tiaras go back into the royal vaults? Because there are so many questions, so many things that you can discern here. And so the particular tiara we're talking about is this one. And he believes, along with the Malaysian royal family, because I believe it's a him, that this tiara, these two tiaras are the same, that they have the same design features and everything. And they are strikingly similar. I will have to say they are very, very similar. And it raises an interesting question of if this tiara was sold. So we have here Queen Mary wearing it way back in the day. We have a couple instances of her wearing it, and she's wearing pearls on top, which people have suggested are either part of the now Queen Mary's Lovers Not tiara, or could have been part of the Girls of Great Britain and Northern Ireland tiara, or Ireland tiara. I always say Northern Ireland when it's just Great Britain and Ireland. So she has this here and she wore it, and then it was also had been worn. You can actually see it right here. What I love about the royal watcher, and I'll give them massive shout outs, they find these amazing old pictures I cannot find anywhere else. And I'm like, how did you find these? Because we do have Princess Margaret here wearing that tiara. You can actually see Queen Julian of the Netherlands here, and I believe that is, and then the former Queen of Norway right there. She's wearing the emerald tiara of the Norwegian royal household. I think that's Queen Julian. That should be Queen Julian. I'm trying to think through my queens and what year this is. And so you can actually see Princess Margaret wearing it there as well. And we got her here too, between the two queens, and this tiara there as well. And so she wore it a number of times. And it's one of those tiaras that sort of disappeared from the spotlight. And I love it when we can get old videos too. Oh, old videos make my heart sing. If you see them on Royal Fashion News, I always try to, when it comes to the tiaras, at least find one old video of the tiara. I always try to do that. And so Princess Margaret wore it a number of times over the years. And the question is, was it sold? And is that how it ended up with one of the branches of the Malaysian royal family? And Malaysia is kind of interesting because they have this system where every 7 years they change the monarch. And so it kind of rotates between these 7 monarchs basically. And I think they reigned for 5 or 7 years. I can't remember the exact number. So this was purchased by, at the time, I believe she's now Queen of Pang. And so they thought, and he was looking at it and thinking, oh my gosh, this looks just like that particular tiara. And so it's wondered if they sold the tiara around the same time that they sold the Queen Mary's amethyst tiara. I thought they kind of dismantled the amethyst and turned it into something else, but they did sell parts of the amethyst. So very interesting questions. And so apparently she purchased this tiara in 1988 after a princess of Thailand told her about it at a sale in New York City. And so she purchased it and then it soon went to Malaysia. There is her wearing it. And it showed up in kind of numerous, they've done some interesting things to it. Not interesting in a bad way. So little girls here wearing tiaras. I didn't get to wear real tiara as a little girl. I'm like a little jealous. And so if we get here, they actually did add some brooches to kind of make it have a greater profile here. This was for a recent marriage. And so they're looking at this tiara in particular and thinking, it looks exactly the same. And it does have apparently some markers of Cartier, which apparently is the original maker of the tiara. And so they kind of examined the pictures and are really believing that it is the same piece. It's entirely possible. And apparently they were so excited that it might be the same tiara that they accidentally dropped it and damaged it. But I will say, so this is Queen Azia and then Sahad Salman of the Royal Watcher. If you have any questions or media questions or whatever. But I will say I'm not totally convinced. When I first saw the article, I was like, oh, yeah, that could be true. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, it could be right. And at the same time, I'm not sure. And it's hard to tell because you can't get decent pictures. These are really hard to make comparisons because the quality of the pictures is just not the same. So it could be that they are the same, but not. But the same time, jewelers could make more than one of something. There have been notable times where 2 of the same tiara, 2 of the same necklace have been made. And maybe only one survives, maybe both survive, one has been amended or something. So it's entirely possible that this is the same tiara, but it's also entirely possible that this is just a replica, a copy, a twin of the one that the Brits have. Because when it comes to the Brits, they have a huge vault and collection, and we have not seen it all. There are a lot fewer tiara events than there were in times past. And so it's entirely possible that it's there. It's entirely possible that it was damaged. They decided it was too sort of weak. And obviously, when it comes to, let's say, the Strathmore Rose tiara, we have not seen that one in 100 years. Now, we knew the Brits still had it, but we did not see it on the head of anyone for 100 years. So it was a question, did you sell it? And it turned up on the head of Catherine in last year, which was very exciting. A year ago last year. Very, very exciting. And then when you have, let's say, another example would be like the Stuart for a while. The Stuart disappeared and then reappeared. Actually, there's actually a great example right behind me, right here, guys. So I got this Live magazine, old one. And so the tiara up here was thought previously lost. And then it showed up on the head of the Crown Princess of Greece. They thought they had sold it. It's a very substantial piece. And it was kind of odd that it showed up on the Crown Princess instead of the Queen. It might have been just a fit issue or something like that. But it was thought lost, then it was found. So it's entirely possible it is still hanging around there somewhere in the British vaults. And when it came to the Grenville Emerald tiara, that tiara was completely gone. Like, we had no idea. I had no clue. No one had any idea that tiara existed until it showed up on the head of Princess Eugenie. So I feel like the evidence is pretty compelling here. But until I feel like we get something definitive from the Brits, I am hesitant to say it's the same tiara and the Brits sold it. They said that, it's possible that it was given to Princess Margaret and Margaret decide to sell it. I just have a really hard time with that notion just because it seems like the Brits are really hesitant to sell anything. And obviously they did sell the amethyst. We don't quite know why, but it could be, I don't know. I'm just not totally convinced as of yet because we do know that there are copies that exist of particular pieces and sets. So it's entirely possible this is a copy of a Cartier piece. Because I feel like if this was at an auction or a sales event in New York City that they don't know the provenance of it or anyways, if they don't know where it came from, I find that really suspect and strange, to be quite honest. I feel like that would be something that was shared with the purchaser. Maybe not. Maybe the Brits didn't want to just come out and say that they had sold things. Maybe Margaret didn't really have permission to say she sold things. We know they have sold at least one or two things over the years, but it's just so rare that I have a really hard time believing that this is the same tiara. I think it's a different one. I think it's a different one. I think it's a copy. I think Cartier made more than one. This is not a substantial piece, you could say. Very easy to make another one. So anyways, that is just an interesting little tidbit here. And so guys, that I think is it. Well, guys, thank you so much for checking this out and let me know what you think. Is it the same tiara or a copy or maybe even neither? It just happens to be something that's rather similar. Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to get your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you very soon. Bye.
We don't count the carats, we count the centuries.